Well, from a much-hyped potential encounter to a real one taking place between U.S. and Russian military on a regular basis, RT's Enrique Rivera has this report.
With fear spreading over a potential war between Russia on one side and Ukraine and NATO on the other, Russian and U.S. fighter jets have come into dangerously close contact in regions far from the Russian and Ukrainian border. The U.S. Department of Defense just reported that a Russian fighter jet flew within 5 feet of the U.S. military's reconnaissance aircraft, the P-8A. The DoD added that their aircraft was flying over international waters in the eastern region of the Mediterranean Sea. The DoD further stated that this incident was one of 3 such events that occurred within the same region over the weekend. DoD spokesperson Mike Kafka said in a statement, quote, "While no one was hurt, interactions such as these could result in miscalculations and mistakes that lead to more dangerous outcomes." In addition to these encounters over the Mediterranean, CNN has quoted anonymous U.S. officials saying that just a few days later, the U.S. intercepted 3 Russian military aircrafts above the oil fields in eastern Syria, which are being illegally occupied by the U.S. military. In this incident, a Russian cargo plane accompanied by 2 Tu-22 bombers were intercepted by an unreported number of U.S. F-16s. The anonymous officials that CNN quoted said that the Russian aircraft flew into U.S. territory without prior warning. Russia regularly patrols the region as part of their fight against ISIS. These most recent dust-ups come on the heels of last week's reported incursion of a U.S. nuclear-powered attack submarine into Russian territorial waters in the Pacific. During this incident, the Russian Defense Ministry stated that the U.S. submarine was submerged close to Russian military exercises that were taking place near the Kuril Islands. Once the submarine was detected, it was chased off using the, quote, appropriate means. Although interactions between Russian and U.S. military personnel and aircraft are regular occurrences, these incidents are raising alarm given the ongoing tensions between the U.S. and Russia over Ukraine. At this time, it's unclear if these events are related to the crisis over Ukraine or if they're just business as usual. For RT, I'm Enrique Rivera.
Joining us now to discuss this battle in the skies, we're joined by former Naval Intelligence Officer and friend of the show, John Jordan. John, great to see you. No one's talking about this, but the U.S. and Russia, you know, we kind of know they almost always maintain at least some communication, so things like this don't happen, a straight-on collision. Why do you think not 1, but 2 events like this happened, and 2, you know, these events were actually not far from each other?
Yeah, you're right. This stuff isn't reported as much as it ought to been, and it has been happening a lot lately. All of these events, though, are different, and there's different rules surrounding the circumstances of each. So we'll just kind of take it from the top. Okay. With regard to the interception of the cargo plane and the backfire bombers over Syria, generally the U.S. and Russia have an understanding regarding what's called deconfliction, where notices given to U.S. and coalition forces if Russian aircraft are going to come. It's not clear how much, if any, notice was given in this instance. In this case, F-16s did intercept it, but there was no further incident as the Russian airplanes went on to land in, it looked like, Syria. Over the Mediterranean, it looks like that was in international waters. Looking at the pictures, it looked like a Russian Su-27 flanker intercepting a P-8 Poseidon, which is a upgraded and specialized 737. It's not clear how close they flew next to each other, but again, there are rules and conventions. With regard to the submarine incident in the Pacific, way, way far away from any of this stuff, that's not clear. That could have been a U.S. Submarine on an electronic intelligence gathering mission near a Russian naval exercise, or it may not have been. They call it the silent service for a reason. There have been lots of U.S. and Russian submarine episodes over the last 50 years, including some that may or may not have happened, like in the movie for Red October.
I was going to say, one of my dad's favorite movies.
But it's not clear that we'll ever know what happened there.
Yeah, but, you know, given kind of what's going on, John, in Ukraine, could we kind of see more of these instances in the air? Could we even see increased hostility between the U.S. and Russia in a country, let's say, like Syria?
Well, I don't know. You know, the thing is that if there is a war, it's going to be between Ukraine and Russia. It won't be, the United States will not be involved in kinetic military operations against Russia. Now, that comes with a caveat. The U.S. may or may not choose to provide intelligence gathering resources, whether it's electronic gathering, intelligence gathering platforms, whether it's airplanes sniffing for radar and radio emissions, or actually gathering battlefield reconnaissance in terms of pictures. That isn't clear. We haven't made a commitment in that regard yet. But any time you have this type of rhetoric and you have this type of potential for conflict and you have forces operating in close proximity, even if it is just for intelligence gathering, when tempers are hot and information can be sporadic as it comes in, you know, you can have a guns of August situation, the type of situation which we frankly lucked our way out of in the Cuban Missile Crisis in October of 1962.
John Jordan, former Naval Intelligence Officer, can't thank you enough. Thanks for pulling back the curtain and kind of giving us more intel on this. Thank you so much.